Hello everyone, it's Jimmy here and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to review three very interesting, I would say premium fixed lens point and shoot cameras. Now these are likely to be your everyday carry cameras, so you're probably not gonna get all of them like I have done here, but I did this mainly to, make this review video for you guys so you don't have to spend your hard-earned money on all of these cameras. Now, what's interesting about these cameras is that they each have their own advantages and disadvantages, and they're by no means perfect. Now, for example, if we're talking about who has the best sensor, objectively speaking, of course, the GFX100RF with its 100 megapixel medium format sensor is number one. And then you have the Leica with its wonderful 60 megapixel full frame sensor. And then the Fujifilm x100vi APS-C sensor comes at last. Now, if we're talking about lens quality, of course, the Leica 28 1.7 Summilux is the best among the bunch here, followed by the Fuji's 35 f4, which is a 28 f3.2 full frame equivalent. And then you have the Fujifilm x100vi, which has got 23 f2, which is a 35 f3.2 full frame equivalent. And then when it comes to, portability and handling, we have the x100vi, definitely ranking number one here, followed by either the Leica Q3 or the GFX, depending on whether you like a smaller lens, bigger body design, or a longer lens, smaller body design. They're pretty much equal when it comes to portability. But that being said, none of these cameras are truly pocketable, especially with the hood on. You would have to go for the Ricoh Giro lines if you prefer that. And talking about imperfections or drawbacks of each cameras, let's first start with the one I think with the least number of what ifs. So the Fuji x100vi, I would say its only drawback really is the lens here. It's a very complete package. It's got a hybrid viewfinder, which is amazing, by the way. It's got IBIS now, which is one of the largest improvements over the x100vi. It's got a very good APS-C 40 megapixel sensor, but it's still got the old lens here. Even on the x100vi, I feel like the lens couldn't resolve enough, especially considering it's a fixed lens camera. So yeah, the lens is really dragging down the whole system here, and I really wish Fujifilm could update this lens in their next iteration. But that's really the only true downside I could think of for this camera here. And then comes the Leica Q. This is also a very complete package, but it keeps me wondering, what if they make this whole thing a little bit smaller? Because as it stands now, it's not that much lighter or smaller than a M body with a Summicron lens. In fact, the lens is huge. It's very front heavy. It couldn't even stand on its own, or barely stands on its own. So yeah, that's my major complaint about this camera. If it could be a little bit lighter and the lens could be a little bit shorter, that'd be perfect. And then we have the Fujifilm GFX100RF, which on paper has the most drawbacks. Like, for example, it doesn't have IBIS, which is, I would say, unacceptable in 2025. And also, it's got a f4 lens, so it's quite slow. And also, it doesn't look very good, especially comparing to the X100 series of cameras. This upper area here, it just looks a little bit bold. So yeah, there's quite a few areas you can improve upon this camera. But the sensor is amazing, the lens is quite good, so for a medium format camera in such a small footprint, you can't really complain much, can you? So these are the good and bad about these three cameras, on paper at least. But how does it feel to use them? And how about the most important thing, which is the image quality? Well, I took all these three cameras out on a weekend and took a couple of photos. And I'm just gonna show you the same scenes shot by these three cameras. Let you guys decide which camera is the best and whether the medium format sensor or the Leica's magnificent lens is worth the premium over the X100VI, or if the X100VI with a much lower price point can perform as well as the other two bigger brothers here. All right, let's take a look. Okay, so the most obvious difference is, of course, the X100VI has a 35 equivalent field of view. So the photos are narrower on the X100VI if you're taking from the same position. And also, obviously, the Leica Q3 has this f1.7 lens, so it's got the thinnest depth of field if you shot them wide open. Other than that, I would say the biggest difference is color science. Now, I have to make it clear here that for all these photos, I've used my own color profile because it's really hard to compare the JPEGs. Fuji's got a ton of film simulation presets you can use, and it really depends on which film simulation you use. The results is gonna be drastically different, right? And so does Leica. I think Leica has incorporated their own color profiles in their latest Leica app. So it's really hard to determine their color science if you're using, different color profiles. So the best I could do really is I set all these cameras with the same white balance and then used my own profile for all these cameras. And the most obvious telltale sign, aside from the focal length difference and the, of course, the aspect ratio difference, is actually the cyan sort of color shift in the sky with the Leica. Whether you like it or not, it's really personal preference. I personally prefer the Fuji's rendition here. The blues are blue. Everything just feels a little bit more natural. So really, aside from that, there are a few shots where if you actually zoom in and punch in, you can tell that the lens of the Fuji X100VI is struggle a little bit. It's not as sharp, definitely not as sharp as the other two lenses here. And also, when I'm processing these photos, I could tell that the latitude of the medium format sensor is definitely a little bit better than the full frame on the Leica, and then the Leica is a little bit better than the X100VI. But at the end of the day, if you're not printing these photos in super large format, and you're just viewing them on your computer screen or on your phone, sharing on social media, well, I would actually say there's not that big of a difference. Well, granted, if you want to have a shallower depth of field, for example, if you're taking portraits, then I would say the Leica Q definitely has an upper hand here. And then if you are more focusing on dynamic range, for example, if you are mainly taking landscape photos, then the GFX100RF with its superior sensor, better dynamic range, better noise performance, it's gonna be a little bit better than the other two on a tripod or on very bright daylight. And then if you are just, walking around, taking random shots, I actually prefer the Fuji X100VI to the Leica Q. Not only because it's smaller form factor, but also the fact that I much prefer the 35 focal length to the 28 for day-to-day use. I feel like it's quite a bit easier to compose than the 28. And also, it's just more usable, especially if you are living in a country where there's a lot of big landscapes. I could imagine, for example, if you're in Tokyo, then the 28mm might work a little bit better on these crowded streets or these, little street side shops. But I would say in North America in general, I feel like the X100VI is a better camera suited for, hiking or going on a trail, those kind of activities. And also, like I said, I actually much prefer the optical viewfinder on the X100VI, more so than the electronic viewfinder on both the GFX100RF and the Leica Q3. All right, so it sounds like I'm making things more complicated for you guys because, like I said in the very beginning, they each excels in different areas of photography. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's really personal preference. It depends on the style you're shooting. It depends on your lifestyle as well, like how you want to carry your cameras. Would it be in your backpack? Would it be in your jacket pocket? Would it be in your car? Would you bring a tripod with you everywhere you go? Do you carry your camera everywhere you go? So yeah, a lot of things would determine which one is better for you. And personally for me, it's also a very, very difficult decisions here because the image quality of the GFX100RF is just amazing, especially when the lighting is good. But I keeps going back to the X100 series because it gives me a better shooting experience with that viewfinder. And you got the Leica, which is a very complete package, very versatile with that lens. So yeah, it's really hard for me to make the final decision here. Which one would I keep? If I were to keep one camera and one camera only, I think I would take the Leica Q3. But if I'm gonna keep two cameras, one for everyday carry, one for a little bit more serious stuff, I would actually keep these two Fujis. Even though they're not as complete of a package as the Leica here, but they each excels in an aspect that really matters. So yeah, I guess that's it for the video. What do you guys think? Which one would you choose? Please leave your comment down below and let everyone else know. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye.